All right. So welcome everybody to this beautiful Sunday morning. One more other opportunity that we have to be gathered in Jesus' name for us to learn, to share, to grow together. And before we start the service, Dave, can you do our opening prayer, dear brother?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, God, for the chances we've had to grow and for all the support from the spirit world that guides us along. Thank you to the members of our group that are here and the ones that couldn't make it. We especially appreciate your compassion and patience as we sometimes move a little bit off the track, but not as quickly as we should be moving. And your encouragement to keep us moving forward is great. Have mercy on all the people who are undergoing hardships from their location or from their spiritual choices. And thank you especially for your patience. So be it.
So be it. Thank you, dear Dave. All right. So again, welcome everybody. Also welcome for those who are watching and seeing BSH for the very first time. We are Bezerra Spiritual Healing Center. We have two special moments in our service. The first part is going to be someone enlightening us with a loving message, encouraging us to reflect. So it's always good if you can write down those things that stand up for you, so then you can keep reflecting along the week. Your mentor is already working with you and through you, so then you can download the messages that are important for you during the service. And then the second part, we have a hands-on healing. And this is the moment that we are all going to vibrate together, not only for our own healing, but also for the healing of those who we wish to bring for vibration. So we always encourage you to have your bottle of water here, so then the water can be magnetized. And if you want to give your name or bring the name of anyone who you wish that we keep working with, please just type in the chat box. We always ask if you have information about date of birth or where the person is, or if it's a healing, if it's an emotional or spiritual or physical healing, just let us know. We'll be working with this person for at least 4 weeks. So this is what we do. So we start the service, the second part here, and then we keep working along the month. We also offer a couple of opportunities for us to be together. So here in the screen, you can see from Monday to Sunday, we have opportunities every single day. And I just wanted to highlight the daily prayer that happens every day at 6 p.m. Pacific time. We take 15-20 minutes where we are all together. Again, not only praying for ourselves, but also for the entire world. So everybody is welcome to join us. And it's going to be the same link. All right, and all this agenda you can find also in our website, bshcenter.org. In there, you can also find the link for our YouTube page, so you can always watch not only the service, but also the previous ones, which is really, really great. And I will also introduce our guest speaker for today, which is not really a guest, but he is a beautiful worker. It's Robbie Brown. I think all of you know him. He today will be talking to us about giving. And for those who are knowing Robbie for the very first time, Robbie is grateful for the ability to discover and work on himself for the benefit of all. We have so much potential and are so blessed with all the wisdom from the teachings of Jesus. Indeed, my brother. So again, today he will be talking about giving, and Robbie, the stage is yours. Please receive our welcome, very warm welcome. Thank you.
All right, let me get this. Okay. Beginning. Just a second, friends. I'm getting it. Oops. All right. Everyone can hear me?
Yes, we can hear and see your screen. Perfect.
Okay. So many little things to get rid of.
I know, right?
The last one. Yay. All right. So kind of fitting for this time of the year, I thought I'd talk about giving. And as always with my presentations, I start, it seems, with one idea. And as it goes on and I put into it, it kind of changed. And this time I was just looking at everything we're given and in ways we can give back. And I love this to start it off from Einstein. Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better. And I truly believe we're giving so much. I mean, we got all the teachings that are shared with us. We have all the interaction that happens within society. But let us not forget nature and how much it really has to offer us and how much it does for us on a daily basis. We can learn so much from observing nature, and indeed we can. Human ego tends to think of things in nature as being useful for us or as useless in general. It's pretty incredible conceit. Truly observing nature teaches us that everything under heaven has its own purpose, and we should value what each creature does, even if it does not aid in our own survival. Nature shows us examples of cooperation, and something that's really important that I'm taking into my life, excuse me, is consistency. Nature gives constantly. It doesn't take time off. It doesn't fight amongst itself to do what it needs to do. Nature shows us that what we should do, we should be giving, and we should be doing it, trying to do it on a consistent basis. But what was interesting to me as I did this, what nature lacks, which is a big part, is selfishness and pride. It doesn't have those two hurdles to overcome. And they are great teachers for us, as you know, for humans to work on, and it enables us to progress so much. But nature really lacks that, and it gives it the ability to just give. In the Gospel according to Spiritism, Chapter 11, Loving One's Neighbor as Oneself, Section 11, selfishness, the plague on humankind, must disappear from the earth, whose moral progress it hinders. What a big point. It really does hinder our moral progress. And I find that within myself as I truly look at myself on a consistent basis. It really does. It always ends up boiling down to me and things I need to change about myself. To Spiritism, the task is reserved and enabling Earth to ascend in the hierarchy of worlds. Thus, selfishness is the target at which all true believers must aim their weapons, their strength, and their courage. I say courage because courage is needed. More courage is needed to overcome oneself than to overcome other people. And so true. And what's funny to me about that statement is it's not even that I have to overcome other people. I just have to overcome myself and not be judging. You know, the main point, not to be judging people, to develop understanding and all these things. As I find, as I go through my progression in life, it always ends up being about me and what I need to do to change. Because change comes down to each one of us doing our part, right? And we need to allow nature to teach us, and we need to not take nature for granted. And there's definitely ways we can do that, and we'll look at a few of them throughout this presentation. And the other question, are we as a society giving back to nature? And that's something I hope maybe you guys will think about throughout this presentation. So Spirit's book, question 812, is it possible for everyone to understand one another? Humans will understand one another when they practice the law of justice. And Sunshine had a class, I can't remember when it was, maybe last week, that they went on this. And what was wonderful is when we practice the law of justice, we're respecting the rights of others. And then she asked, how do we respect the rights of others? And that's through the golden rule. And I loved how those followed each other, because that's what we need to do. We need to do our part as nature does their part. And one of the most common that people probably know of is giving are the bees. At least 30% of the world's crops and 90% of all plants require cross-pollination to spread and thrive. Pollinating billions of plants each year, including millions of agricultural crops. In fact, pollinators like bees play a key role in 1 out of every 3 bites of food we eat. That's absolutely amazing. Bees are responsible for the production of many seeds, nuts, berries, and fruit, which serve as a vital food source for wild animals. Bees themselves are also part of the food chain. At least 24 species of birds, including the blackbird, ruby-throated hummingbird, and starling, prey on bees. Bees are known for their elaborate hives, but also help build homes for millions of other insects and animals. Their role as pollinators is vital in the growth of tropical forests, savanna woodlands, and temperate deciduous forests. As pollinators, bees play a part in every aspect of the ecosystem. They support the growth of trees, flowers, and other plants, which serve as food and shelter for creatures large and small. Bees contribute to complex, interconnected ecosystems that allow a diverse number of different species to coexist. So I was looking up ways that we can give back, because bees give so much daily to everything on this planet, contribute. And there's a few simple ways that we can give back. We can plant a bee garden. One of the largest threats to bees is the lack of safe habitat. So as we continue to expand, we're destroying their habitat. So in our own way, maybe we can plant or bring flowers or things that bees can enjoy. Avoid treating your yard and garden with pesticides. That's one of the big things that are taking out the bees currently. So we can find other ways of doing that. We can plant a tree. Bees get most of their nectar from trees. Or we can create a bee bath, which is beneficial for a lot of nature. And ways when you create a bee bath, which is interesting, is you can use a typical bird bath, but maybe you set little rocks in it so they can land on it or something to access it more easily. And then one of the big ways, which is important, is to teach our children the importance of bees and kind of the way of giving back to them, because that's the future, right? Through education. Because when we develop our habits, we understand it's hard to overcome them. So for some of us, it may be more difficult, but if we share this with our children, they'll grow up knowing no different. And then something we're given when we're looking at giving is our opportunity. And it's an amazing opportunity we're provided. And it reveals itself more to me as I continue with the process of trying to progress myself. Because let us not forget the purpose of the incarnation of the spirits. Because question 132, just a piece of the answer here. God imposes incarnation for the purpose of leading spirits to perfection, for some it's an expiation, for others a mission. I think it's wonderful to reflect on. We've got to understand we're here for a reason. We have a purpose, as everything in nature has a purpose. And to take advantage of this opportunity, that it's just not something to get caught up in what society is offering, but something that we should reflect within ourselves. Because are we taking full advantage of the opportunity provided? Another big question to ask. Take care in not becoming complacent with our inner transformation. That's a big one I'm learning for me, that we can hit plateaus and not to stop, to constantly push ourselves to understand, take advantage of the opportunity. Don't just slow down and get where it's comfortable, our comfort zone, so to speak. Because in Thought and Life, Chico Xavier dictated by the Spirit Emmanuel, chapter 2, our will. Without the will, desire may err and go astray, incurring debts requiring centuries of suffering and restitution. Intelligence may be caught in the vices of criminality. Imagination may create dangerous monsters of darkness and memory. Although faithful to its function of registering what it receives in conformity with the destination given to it by nature, may fall into deplorable neglect and inefficiency. And I think a wonderful example of not getting caught up that was Paul, because he taught us many important lessons. But one was taking advantage of the opportunity provided and constantly pushing yourself, never slowing down, realizing that there's a lot to accomplish within this time. And something is interesting that know thyself was the first of the three maxims inscribed on the forecourt of the Temple of Apollo in Delphi. We all have great potential when I think about this, but in the end, it's up to us to put this into action. And that's something we need to remember. I watched something that Fred had posted, and it was about an individual that remembered his previous life in the spirit world, I think it was. And the main thing I took from that was the honor that this opportunity provided, that he reflected and brought the point that it's not just we're here, but people were waiting to get here. Spirits were waiting for this opportunity to come down here to work on themselves. And that really stuck with me. And I reflected, am I taking full advantage of the opportunity for me? Is there ways I can push myself more? And I reflected a lot on that and realized there are areas I can work on to push myself more, that I had fallen into a little bit of a plateau, and I was comfortable with that, because we understand also in thought and life that our habits need to be looked at. And sometimes letting go of habits becomes a little more tricky than we realize. And then one thing, again, the way nature is giving to us is the vegetables. Like, how wonderful. They give and expect nothing in return from us, and they give consistently. And when you really think about it, how amazing it is that we have all we need right before us, readily available, that aids our body in a healthy way. But leave it to man to twist that idea into ways that are not beneficial to us. But nature had already done it for us. It had put everything we needed here for our benefits. Most of the vegetables on the top of the list are beans, including soybeans, lima beans, and pinto beans. Other contenders include spinach, Brussels sprouts, avocado, and sweet corn. For even more variety, consider bok choy. And then nutrients. While you don't need high amounts of micronutrients, skipping them can cause a variety of symptoms, including immune problems. Luckily, these lesser-known nutrients are found in a variety of vegetables. And with regards to our mental health, it isn't all about the body. Sometimes vegetables can provide mental health benefits as well. A study showed that people who eat a variety of vegetables and fruits tend to have reduced depression and anxiety, as well as an improved sense of optimism in life. Particularly represented in this study were leafy greens such as spinach, lettuce, and kale. And with our gut health, which they're learning more and more how important our gut health is for our overall well-being. Due to the antioxidants and high amounts of fiber found in vegetables, increasing your consumption and expanding the variety of vegetables consumed can improve your gut health. A healthy gut does not only result in proper digestion, but also improves mental health, immunity, and prevention of many chronic diseases. And our heart health as well. There's a lot of evidence out there that proves vegetables can improve your heart's health, along with decades of studies detailing the positive impact of vegetables on the cardiovascular system. Nature gives everything that is beneficial to our bodies. It's right there. It is on us, once again, to take advantage of that which is so beautifully offered with the expectation of nothing in return. What a true example of what it is to give. And at times, when we eat, let us offer sincere prayers of gratitude to them for their continual efforts. And on a side note here, what's interesting, throughout this pandemic, a lot of food has gone up quite a bit. But the one group of food that didn't really see a huge increase was vegetables. So there's no reason not to include more of them, especially when they give so much to each one of us. But then understanding, I like this because this is something that we can start to give. We have a lot of knowledge readily available to us. We are blessed to live in a time where information is so accessible. Pursuing understanding will put us in a position to comprehend why we give. And we see that in Thought and Life, chapter 10, Understanding. We classify ourselves as good or bad according to the way we use our feelings and thoughts, which are electromagnetic forces that either protect or hurt, help or damage, vitalize or destroy. They always return bearing the elements of happiness or unhappiness that we assign to them. Can never underestimate the power of our thoughts. The more I study, the more that's where the battleground is, so to speak. That's where the change comes from. That's where the idea of change comes from. That's where the reflection comes from. They're so amazing. And we know we should avoid the idea that we are victims to our thoughts, because we're not. We can overcome our thoughts. We can remold them, upgrade them, develop healthier habits within thoughts. The Spirit's Book, question 634, why may evil be found in the very nature of things? I am speaking of moral evil. Couldn't God have created humankind under better moral conditions? If there were no mountains, humans would not understand that they can ascend. If there were not rocks, they would not understand that there are not hard objects. And that kind of goes to this last piece, polarity, to me. We have to understand that the law of polarity and the Kabbalion, the Hermetic teachings are to the effect that the difference between things seemingly diametrically opposed to each other is merely a matter of degrees. And it all flows throughout this polarity. And that's something I just wanted to touch on for people to understand, that polarity is a great way for us to gauge, to understand things. Like we understand what it is to love and what it is to hate. And if you look at those two concepts, where is the line between love and hate? But they're just merely degrees leading to each other. But without the understanding of both, how would we choose correctly? And that's reflected in Thought and Life, that we understand, help and hurt, damage, vitalize or destroy, that we see those two, and we're given the beautiful gift of polarity so we can develop an understanding as to why we do things. Through continual efforts, we will be able to remove our needs in given situations in order to focus on the needs of others. But that's where all that is developing that understanding through education and through efforts on our part. And another beautiful way that nature is giving is through fungus and their important role in the environment. In the food chain, organisms in this level of the food chain provide nutrients for the producers, who in turn are eaten by the consumers, and the next level, who are then eaten by the tertiary consumers. Fungi release enzymes that break down dead organic matter and release it into the soil, while earthworms excrete nutrient-rich waste that adds more vitality to the soil. The tunneling action of earthworms also helps to break up and aerate the soil. In regard to the nutrient cycle, decomposers are involved in virtually all of the nutrient cycles of the plant. The plants in the consumer level rely on decomposers to break down dead organic matter to release the nutrients and elements like carbon, oxygen, and phosphorus back into the soil. Decomposer bacteria are responsible for fixing nitrogen in the soil, meaning they transform nitrogen into a form that can be used by other organisms in the food chain. And in ecosystem maintenance, decomposers are like the housekeepers of the ecosystem. Without them, dead plants and animals will keep piling up with the nutrients and soil needs trapped inside. Decomposers clean up the dead material by processing it and returning the nutrients to the soil for the producers. I was thinking about this. We all appreciate a clean living environment in our homes, in our vehicles, and hopefully in our line of work. Let us not forget to create a clean environment within ourselves. And I think that's what nature can show us, to remove and recycle that which no longer serves us, as the fungus do. It gives us an invitation to go within and to clean things up as well as nature does, to allow for that new growth to occur. And duty, the sense of duty. I love duty, and it's been one that I've just kind of recently kind of sunk in nicely for me, the sense of duty. Thought in Life, chapter 21, duty. We may then symbolically describe duty as a series of activities in the arena of goodness that the Supreme Lord gives us the responsibility to execute. This is done to uphold order and the advancement of his divine work and for our own self-development. So by fulfilling our moral duty, to which we are continuously altered by our conscience, we both project our best and receive the best of others. And then in the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 9, Blessed are the meek and peace-loving, section 8, all prideful resistance will yield sooner or later. But blessed are those who are meek, for they will lend a willing ear to our teachings. And Thought in Life again, chapter 7, work. Beyond the obligation to work principle through which we are remunerated, we must reach a point where we feel the pleasure to serve. And that's what's interesting to me, those last two. Like, we have to develop the willing ear to listen. We got to hear in order to bring things in to allow the process of change to occur. And if we start that, and it was like, as I look at myself, I started educating myself and then was exposed to the idea of duty, to seek beyond the responsibility and see the joy in giving. That's where I am now. And that's starting to, like, I love the concept of duty, but for me, I'm trying to take it to the next step, to realize that it's an honor to be in part of the process of aiding others in their progression. But it all started with recognizing that I had a responsibility to work on myself, that I had a duty to give back. And I like what Chico Xavier stated, to others I give the right to be as they are, to myself the duty to be better each day. I'm more accepting of others. I'm not trying to push my beliefs on them, but I am there to help you, as everyone should be there. I'm there to encourage you, to offer you hope, to show you by example that it works, working on ourselves. And there are reasons to give, as so many have done for me. But then another beautiful way that nature is giving on a very consistent and daily basis are the trees. Trees promote biodiversity. The diversity of organisms is essential for maintaining the health of any ecosystem, especially a forest. The disappearance of even one plant species can lead to the extinction of 30 animal species. Nutrient cycling, decomposers are involved in virtually all of the nutrient cycles of the plant. The plants in the consumer level rely on the decomposers. That's interesting to break down. That's almost a copy. Sorry. So then trees prevent soil erosion. The foliage of trees provides organic material that covers the ground, thus stabilizing and regulating the hydrology of the soil, as well as groundwater levels. Tree roots also help hold the soil in place on slopes. Trees improve air quality. Plants absorb surface water, preventing it from flowing onto paved areas containing pollutants like lead and other waste that can contaminate our waterways. Trees mitigate temperature fluctuations. Trees release water vapor into the air through the process of evapotranspiration. Deforestation raises air temperatures and increases wind velocity. Therefore, trees protect us by acting as natural windbreakers. And ways that we can give back with this, there's Arbor Day that we can participate in each year. And once again, you can involve the youth and others into this and make it a tradition to give back, because inevitably, just with us being here, we contribute to deforestation. We might not like to think it, but we do with everything that we enjoy on a daily basis. So it's a wonderful way of us giving back just a little bit, because trees do, everything's doing this daily for us, for our benefit of everything, but we're part of the benefit for that. So it's something we can reflect on, is stop taking nature maybe for granted so much and realize that we are absolutely connected with nature, and there are ways that we can give back to show our gratitude. And then service, that's a wonderful way of giving for all of us, and that's where I've been trying to evolve to. The Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 13, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, section 11. My friends, if you only could have no sweeter occupation than that of making others happy. That's wonderful. I mean, it's a truly wonderful statement for that, because we can see, like, working through ourselves as I go through, I had to work on myself to get to a point where I can give. But how wonderful the reward is to make others happy, and seeing that I don't need to be focused on me all the time, that I can pull back and be a positive influence in others' lives. And in Galatians chapter 6, verse 2, bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. We should be willing to take on people's struggles in order to help them, and take them on in a way that we can listen, offer advice, and lead them hopefully on a way that they can bring within them, that it resonates within them, to help them bring change about. Because we should be there for people at all times, because when we reflect on our lives, so many people have been there for us throughout it. So let us understand that we have a duty, and not just a duty, that we find the joy of making others happy. Because we have the golden rule, right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And how beautiful that is, because we all want that. That's something we all strive for. So that's a wonderful way to remind us why we are in service for others. And the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 13 again, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, section 9. If you could only know the joy I experienced in meeting on the other side those whom I was able to help during my last life. That's awesome. I never thought about that. And I remember reading that. I was like, how cool. We can have that same joy in this incarnation as well as when we discarnate, that we can see the efforts we put in now and understand that they did make a difference in people's life, and they do. And we not always get that recognition from people, right? And sometimes we don't know if our message is getting through, but that shouldn't stop us from doing what we do. It all depends on if we take advantage of the opportunity to provide it, that we put in the effort for others to help them in their assistance. And that's why we do this, to work on ourselves, to move forward. It's a time-honored tradition of giving back, when so many things have given to us, people, nature, God for the opportunity in our existence first and foremost, but even the earth in so many ways. The list just continues. So we need to learn to be giving as well. So in conclusion, the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 15, without charity there is no salvation, section 5. Charity and humility, that is the sole path to salvation. Selfishness and pride, that is the sole path to perdition. We have so much potential down here, and we see so much offers us assistance. We need to allow the transformation to take place within ourselves. The Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 15 again, section 5. Even if I were to speak the language of the angels themselves, if I were to have the gift of prophecy and grasp all mysteries, if I had all the faith possible in the point of moving mountains, but did not have charity, I would have nothing. Among these virtues, faith, hope, and charity, the most excellent is charity. That's beautiful, because charity is giving with the expectation of receiving. And something, just in a few examples, we see that nature does for us continuously and consistently. That's the main point. That's the real, I think, takeaway I came from this, is working on my consistency and allowing myself to feel the rewards that come with this, and take advantage of all that is readily available to teach you and guide you. And I hope that each one of us pursues and finding the joy of giving, because we're given such a beautiful opportunity. And I pray that all those take advantage of it. So I will stop sharing. And hopefully it made sense. It did to me, and I learned a lot, but I hope you guys got out of it. We have so much going for us down here, and so many things will contribute to our success. And we should acknowledge them on a daily basis and learn to give back in any way we can.
Robbie, that was beautiful, brother. Thank you. You know that one of the things that I always remember on the book Thought and Life was when Emmanuel said that charity begins when duty ends. And I think that you just gave us so many insights on understanding what is our duty and what is charity, because giving back, I mean, part of the giving back is our duty, and part of giving back is going to be charity, right? So I think that one question that you prompt to me is, what is the one single thing, at least, that I can commit until the end of my life, at least, for me to do and giving back? So, and it can start like with simple things like, I don't know, recycling, or I'm not going to use straws anymore, plastic straws anymore, or plastic bags. You know what I'm saying? It's like those small things, I think that they are a sparkle of things that can do good. So, and nature is the biggest source. So thank you, brother.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, there's so many ways we can, like, nature gives, and I feel at times, I know with myself, and you take it for granted because we're not as connected to nature as we once were. So that disconnect has allowed us, I think, to take too many things for granted. And there are ways, simple ways, that we can give back to show our appreciation.
Absolutely.
You know, I always believe that everything that ails us is in nature to help heal us. I always believe that. And it's so funny, you know, that, well, not really funny, but it's sad that we let so much of that knowledge go. It's so beautiful how everything is interconnected, especially mushrooms. I mean, they used to gross me out. I mean, I just didn't understand them. I look at them and kick them. What are you doing here? You know? And then when I saw something about them and their purpose and how useful they are and how healing they are to the earth, I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I respect them all now. I don't care where they are. I would never kick the top off of them again. So, and then some of them are so beautiful. And it's so crazy because when I used to do arts and crafts, I used to color them. And I used to love them being in. If they weren't enough, I'd put some on my arts and crafts and color them. They're beautiful. I mean, they just come in so many beautiful colors. Anyway. And the bees, my God, I always love bees. I don't care how many times I got stung by a bee, I'm not afraid of them. And I used to swell up and everything, and I'm still not afraid of them. I just love them. I appreciate them. And when we lived in Forest Hill, we had gigantic black and yellow bumblebees. I mean, huge, beautiful bees. They're just gorgeous. I don't know. It's just something about them that I just think is fascinating. And now I know why. Hell, I can't eat without them.
I just watched a really cool story on Facebook about a bee that had lost its wings, and someone discovered it and became friends with it. And this bee hung out with them, and they gently brought it to flowers to water and gave it food for its time it was with them. But how much they learned and the connection they made. It was really a cool story.
Well, it's good to watch documentaries on them and how they work. And even got bees that rob other bees' nests, and take over them and put their seeds in there. I mean, they have a whole nother world just like ours. It's greed and craziness. I mean, it's amazing. God is just amazing on every level. It's going on, except the ants. They still are the hardest working bee insects going on.
I used to be
Wow.
so afraid of bees, so afraid of bees.
Oh, I love
I mean,
it.
I would never kill them, but I would run away so fast. But then, yeah, things changed. That is
Yeah.
good. They're
My
beautiful.
brother, last year in November 8th, you were talking about be perfect. Just a year ago. Then you brought this topic to this year again, and very important now because all that you share with us and remind us, and is a part of be perfect, no? As a human being, as we are growing in evolution, and we still we do not drink properly, we do not eat properly, and we're still learning how to breathe, how to collect the best of nature. Now, in the air is everything that we need, all the medicine, it is there, the free medicine is there for us. And eating properly, nature give us everything, like you said. Thanks so much for sharing that, because I start to have brain foggy. It's hard to memorize things, and I would be sure here I had not eaten vegetables enough, almost none. So that is a good reminder to us to go back to nature, our inner nature too, that is inside of ourselves, to be in harmony with the inner nature that it is within. So being part of the nature, and we have to respect our inner and outer nature to understand. I was listening to a teacher, a spiritual teacher, and he was saying in the spiritual world, the lower beings doesn't like to see the image of a star, because when they see the image, the picture of a stars, they remind about what, about heaven. Because every time you talk about stars, you have to connect with heaven. And so the lower beings that still in their ignorances doesn't like to remember or to understand that we are part of this beautiful universe, and the nature remind us through flowers, through tree, through animals, through everything that we are here. I'm sorry, I need to.
Yeah, what Denise say real quick on when it comes to our immunity too. I read a study that it's not as it's more fragile than people realize, that it requires consistency, which made sense to me, but I never thought, because I thought, wow, if I ate good yesterday, it doesn't carry as far over as people think. That the same with everything, you need to be consistent in order to reap the benefits from it. So they're showing that you really can't take many meals off, or taking a whole day off will drop your immunity faster than people think. So cheat days, as I'm trying to be good and eat better, I kind of rethought my idea of how many times I cheat, because if you're doing this to be healthy and to all the benefits that come with it, you have to show consistency. And I'm starting to see that, like when I did this presentation of how consistent nature is as well. And that's being offered even when we study and inner transformation, we have to be consistent. And I'm starting to learn a lot about consistency.
And we can see too, when we read the books, most of the books, the spiritual books, came through Chico Xavier, Divaldo Franco. They will talk about the spiritual world, and we will see the nature that is more vivid than here. So the nature is everywhere. So if you start, like Kiki said, if you start to be conscious what we can do, like you can ask, what can I do to make my part, not to judging others or criticizing the world. But when I start to do something, I remember very clear, a long time ago, on the spirit, when I started to study spiritism 30 years ago, over 30 years, one of the most important things they were teaching, it was to taking care of nature. If you take care of nature, you will know how to educate yourself and help you to progress. So as I come from the third world war, one thing that we were throwing everything in the street. Even the gun that you throw in the streets, whatever it was, because we don't have a trash can that we can just be educated and throwing in every part of the city or the streets by that time. So one thing I started to educate myself and my kids was never throw anything in the street anymore or in the water. It's just a part of taking care of nature. It was a simple thing that we can do. Just separate the trash, try to clean it, and it is hard. It is not easy right now. Here in the city I live, the mayor is not helping with the recycling anymore. So the whole city stopped recycling. So the community is suffering. We have to do something because we're throwing everything in the trash together, and that is not good for nature. So I pray and hope a movement has to start here to protect, because this go back to nature, and will be damaged ourselves.
That's right.
So
Go ahead.
A very, very good topic, very good remind. That's why I love spiritism, because we are open and bringing the teachings of the spiritism, bringing the teachings of Jesus to our days, and have conscience what we have in front of us, the importance, like in everything have it damage. You're talking about fungus, but recently a big documentary it's come about the mushrooms, and how, my gosh, it is amazing the light they have, the life they have, and the amazing improvement they can help us, our brain, our memories, and how many ways they will help human beings to progress and find a lot of our way to heal old illness. So it's everything nature. Jesus taught us through nature. I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel at times we've lost our sense of connection with nature too much, and we need to realize that we are a part of nature.
I would say that we are nature. Every single element of our being comes from nature. So I think that's the key point, Robbie, that you just brought up, that is this disconnect of us understanding that we are nature, and by nature gotta respect ourselves and respect the larger outside nature. You're right. Thank you. I appreciate you bringing this up to our attention, our awareness, because yeah, what's going on right now, it's sad to see, because as you said, I think nature lacks selfishness and pride, right? You brought that up. And everything in nature contributes to something that is positive. However, us human beings, we have our own creations, but what we're doing sometimes is out of our unconsciousness, we are creating damage. Look at the amount of garbage that we see in the ocean, right? There's an area in the ocean that has more garbage than the state of Texas. And that's us producing that. So when are we gonna wake up and be more responsible? Thank you.
Yeah, it's absolutely a reflection of us, who we are as a people, what we're doing, how we're treating nature. with the disregard currently. And it'll show when, you see a planet that's clean, that we care, that'll show that we have changed as a people.
Anyone else would like to do any comment? Go ahead, Dave.
I can contribute a little bit that I learned. A while back, Dr. Paulo said to use local honey in the morning before you eat. Hot water, local honey. So I decided that the honey I bought from the stores, which maybe came from 3 countries, might not be local. And I learned a little more. And since then, I've found a fella not far from the Thomas area who's a beekeeper. He's probably 2nd or 3rd generation beekeeper. And about once a year, I get a gallon jar, like a big mayonnaise jar of honey. And each time I see him, I learn a little bit more about what his work entails. He has several children, and he's had them outfitted with beekeeper suits, and they industriously help him, smaller and larger, to do the work. He builds the hives, and he builds the wooden structure himself. And then he has all these different orchards and locations in the area where the people that need the bees want him. And of course, he has more bees than he could keep at his home. He told an interesting story where the weather changed and there was a flood. And the water rose very quickly because of a break in a dam. And he was blessed with the help of about 5 of the neighbors around the orchard who came with boats. And within about 1.5 inches, he was able to save all the hives from being flooded. And everyone came and responded immediately and helped. And it was an interesting story that as far as the guidance from the spirit world, he got it. And he's very much a religious, spiritual person. He said 2 things about honey. Don't get it over 120 degrees because you kill the good enzymes that you want. So don't put it in too much hot water. And while I'm talking, not too long ago, Dr. Paulo said that we should take some apple cider vinegar on a daily basis because that would help reduce some of the unwanted effects of the processed food we wind up using. And again, I've learned a little bit from that. It doesn't want to be heated over 120 degrees because it deactivates the good enzymes that we need. Okay, somebody else save me. I've had all there is to say I can think of.
So Dave, Dr. Paul is amazing. You remind that, and I really like Dr. Paul, our mentor from Brazilian Spiritual Healing and the Spiritual Healing Center. And you know why he said that to have honey from the local bees? Because he explained to me one day that is have a reason why you are leaving that community. So all the allergies or the illness or whatever you have, nature around you will help to cure you, to help you to be better, to have a better healthy. So the bees, having honey from your community, they will be collect from the flowers of the trees that is around you. So it's amazing. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. To remind, I didn't remember.
Yeah, that's exactly what my friend Paul's bees, that's what he calls his operation. That's exactly what he said. You will have the immunity because of the air. If you do get a cold, much less, probably you won't get a cold. He said the same thing. That was beautiful. Just what Dr. Paulo instructed us. Thank you.
Awesome. Anyone else would like to share anything, make any comment, question? All right. Okay, so Robbie, thank you once more, my friend. This was beautiful, inspiring. We can feel your heart. So it's It's delicious to be here. Thank you. Okay, so now we are going to take 2 minutes break and we will resume for the healing passes. Make sure that you bring your bottle of water and you write down the names of those who you wish to bring for vibration. We will be here. Mark, you be careful. We can see you driving, friend.